Hello, social studies classes. It's so good to be able to share some time with you. What I want to do is share some words from Zebulon Pike's actual journal that he created. Well, the second one that he created after the Spanish took his first one. But before we start, I want to talk about how this is what we would call a primary source, because it comes straight from someone that was there, Zebulon Pike. And that's different than from like our textbook, which we would call a secondary source, where we're just writing what we know about history, but the person that wrote that textbook obviously wasn't actually there. So it's really good to look at primary sources so that we can get a feel of what it was like to actually be there. I'm trying to get a little bit of feel of what it was like in the past by putting on my pioneer outfit. Of course, the pioneers came after the explorers came, and so the explorers are the ones that were checking things out beforehand, before people started to move to see what the land was like. So as we read, Zebulon Pike was sent to explore what we call Colorado now, but they called the southern part of the Louisiana Purchase. So here comes some of the words from Zebulon Pike's actual journal entries. The first one is from November 26th, which was a Wednesday. Expecting to return to our camp that evening, we left all our blankets and provisions at the foot of the mountain, killed a deer of a new species, and hung his skin on a tree with some meat. We commenced ascending, found it very difficult, being obliged to climb up rocks, sometimes almost perpendicular after marching all day. We encamped in a cave without blankets, victuals, or water. We had a fine, clear sky, whilst it was snowing at the bottom. On the side of the mountain, we found only yellow and pitch pine. Some distance up, we found buffalo. Higher still, a new species of deer and pheasants. November 27th, a Thursday. Arose hungry, dry, and extremely sore from the inequality of the rocks on which we had lain all night. But we were amply compensated for toil by the sublimity of the prospects below. The unbounded prairie was overhung with clouds, which appeared like the ocean in a storm, wave piled on wave and foaming, whilst the sky was perfectly clear where we were. Commenced our march up the mountain, and in about 1 hour arrived in the summit of the chain. Here we found the snow middle deep, no sign of beast or bird inhabiting the region. The thermometer, which stood at 9 degrees above zero at the foot of the mountain, here fell to 4 degrees below zero. The summit of the Grand Peak, which was entirely bare of vegetation and covered in snow, now appeared at the distance of 15 or 16 miles from us, and as high again as what we had ascended, and would have taken a whole day's march to have arrived at the base, which I believe no human being could have ascended to its pinnacle. So there you go. Those are just some of the words that Zebulon Pike wrote in his journal, and gives us an idea of what it was like for him and his men. I think it's always interesting to think about how the fact that when he saw what he called the Grand Peak in the distance, which we now call the Pikes Peak after him, he really thought nobody would ever be able to climb all the way to the top. I wonder, have any of you been to the top? Well, I know that I actually did a long time ago. Luckily, I could drive a car. But he had to try to walk in snow with his men, so it was not very easy of a journey for them. Well, that's it for Zebulon Pike's journal entry. Hopefully it can inspire you as you're starting your photo journal assignment, and maybe help you kind of think of what it really was like for Zebulon Pike in his journeys around here. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.